Hello everybody, my name is Maria Shiweda. I am Maria the Prophet. In today's topic, we are talking about marriages in the Synagogue Church of All Nations, Lagos, Nigeria, the Church of Prophet T.B. Joshua. This is my testimony. Now, this topic of marriages came up way back in 2016. I have been watching the terms of my covenant coming to pass. Especially the year 2020, the year 2021, I have been watching the terms of my covenant coming to pass. And this was one of the issues that came up right before I received my covenant. And this is how it happened. I was on the internet and I was watching something or reading something, and then I read a comment. Somebody commenting on things, how things are being done in SCOAN, but they said something. They said, but they don't get married in SCOAN. To me, as a natural person, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. You grow up, you are grown, look for a partner, and you get married. I did not know there was a spiritual angle of things in about marriage at all. So that was me until God explained the subject to me. So this is how he said it. He said there are some people that he created, like as you are born into the world, you are created to work for God first and then yourself. And the majority of the people that go to SCOAN, there are some that were created that way because they have a huge assignment to humanity, but they need somebody to lead them into that. And the reasons he gave was because of geographical reasons. That influenced like environmental variations that influenced the behavior of people and the way things are being done. Things are not the same in all countries. There's no uniformity of how things are being done in this country or that country. Every place has its way of doing things. Every group of people has the way of doing things. But God wanted things done his way. But also because of the magnitude of their assignments, they have to go through somebody with a high mantle, so to say. A person like Prophet T.B. Joshua, that high anointing that of his is able to help build them into the courses of their lives, like how their lives were supposed to be. So that's something he explained. But he didn't stop there. He continued. He said, God said, and I put a timeline on it, which means they have to be in SCOAN until that time that he has allocated to them being there. So now each time is different for everybody, depending on what assignment. Because what I have seen, some assignments are bigger than the others, some are smaller because some people already have the foundation, some are starting from zero, and some are starting from 50%. So it's all, the time is all different from everybody. And also what God is to give to these people who go and help at the Synagogue Church of All Nations, and is different. I do remember this. One of them, a great evangelist, all that was needed, like why she was there, it was just marriage. That's it. nothing else. Everything else was in order for her. No, not studies, not money, not anything else. Marriage, that was it. And then after she did her assignment right, and then off she went. And what I saw, people came and go in the Synagogue Church of All Nations. But there are some who have been there for a very, very long time. These are people with heavy assignments, people who are, let me just say, holding humanity. Uh, People with different mantles, but heavy mantles in their areas of callings. So, and God didn't stop there. He then showed me the other side of the coin of some of these evangelists had they not been at the Synagogue Church of All Nations, at SCOAN. Some had a better life, like money. They were not going to suffer or anything like that. But we were not going to call them evangelists or prophets or prophetesses. That was plain. I saw that people, I was shocked, like I'm in shock, like really, because I really honestly thought I did everything on my own. I never thought God did anything for me. Like, I never involved God. I knew I always had my Bible. I never read it. I just had it because there's this fear within me that if I don't have the Bible, like around me, like in the environment I am, I don't really know. It's a fear that I have, but it's a fear like you can literally see my body shaking. You can see me worried like that. But I didn't really understand it, and until God came to explain that what was ahead, um, what was in store for me from Him, and I didn't know all this. I didn't have any dream from a childhood like that. I didn't know any of this. So, but then again, he added. He said, "You." Like he was now talking to me about my covenant, like explaining the terms of my covenant, and then explaining and then telling me about men of God and stuff. But then he continued. And this was coming from my covenant. It's one of the terms I mentioned when I recorded the video on the prophets and the prophetesses of the Synagogue Church of All Nations, the entities of God. I mentioned the word immunity, that term. And then, as God was now explaining this whole thing, subject of marriage in the Synagogue Church of All Nations to make me understand, He then started explaining to me my covenant and some other terms of my covenant and regarding this subject of marriage. And then He said, immunity. And what He said, what He meant with immunity is they now have immunity. Like you go there, you go there, once you are granted that marriage, it has immunity. Like nothing can break it. But the way he explained it this way. He said, the issue of marriage is a spiritual issue. So, and apparently the way things used to happen in the world was, if somebody is not like somebody would have the intention to sleep with somebody simply because they see this light on them, this light of God on them, then they would sleep with them to tamper with it. So he then put immunity on that. That's what happened. He put immunity on that. Everything right now, it is immune. A lot of things is immune. Because I was at the time very close to my covenant. I was like, God, when I asked God about to give anointing to all the evangelists, and the people in the Synagogue Church of All Nations, like an anointing, enough power so that wherever they go, they are at least able to survive. So he was now explaining this thing to me, what he just granted. He just granted immunity. So they can go, they get married, they can go, if the people they get married to, they will not take them out of their callings of God anymore. So that's what he meant by immunity, and that was the subject of marriage. He said it was not Prophet TB Joshua who didn't want them to get married. It was their assignment that required that, because he put a timeline on it. But most importantly, it's because he wanted his work done, and done his way, and by the people he chose. And he chose those people, and gave them the avenue to train in. And when time came, it's finished. He just cuts it off. Their job is done. Their assignments are done. So this is now the funny thing about God. God doesn't care whether you are in a good position or bad position. When his time comes, he springs into action. If you are trying to reason this and that, that force will come upon you, and it will be beyond you. It would not anymore be the normal you doing things. But this is what I have experienced, people. This is what I have experienced. The world that I'm coming from the world of verification and re-verification. So now God has taken that world, put it into his own world, just to train me in his things. So everything he does to me, he has to prove and give me an example in the natural. The only thing is, he uses people who are the people we would go on our knees for. That's what he uses. The people he used to fight me are the people that we go on our knees for in the natural, because they have money. But those are the people God have used for my case. So, but the subject of marriage is a very big subject on the table of God. And when he explained that it's not Prophet TB Joshua that is not allowing people to get married, or because for me, I was thinking on the other hand, every organization is like that. Like, they don't allow people to date when they are working together, like co-workers to date when they are working together. That was another aspect of me. Like, you kind of have to keep things underground and all that, or like, you don't date people in your same department, things like that. That I thought that was like, it was natural. That's probably what the rule is, and it's the rule for each and every organization. That's what I thought. But when God explained the subject, and the way things are done at SCOAN, the way things are at SCOAN, the why part of things, people, I was shocked, because I didn't understand. Because at that time, I haven't watched these cases yet where you hear people say they have a spirit of lust, or they just go and sleep with whoever, or they just they go to sleep with a lady in order to take their whatever their gift is, or to tamper with that gift from God. Yeah, at that time, I have not watched any of those videos yet. Like, what I have watched is testimonies, but I would watch one testimony over and over and over. So I didn't really get to know much. But when God explained that, it was right at the time of my covenant. Like, just very close to the time of my covenant, when he explained that. And I still remember this. I was just on the internet, and somebody gave that reason, saying, but people in SCOAN don't get married. But it did not sound reasonable to me. It just did not sound reasonable to me until I was in a changed environment, and God started explaining everything. And then when he said, I'll now put immunity on it, I'll now put immunity on it. And then because I have just asked, because People, January 20 January 2016, I went for the prayer line, the good morning water, but my attacks just skyrocketed. I went back, same thing. I was even laid a hand by a prophet, same thing. So, and then I started calling the prayer lines, and the attacks were not getting less. Instead, they were just skyrocketing. So I asked God, like I asked myself, if this is how things are happening to me, what about the evangelists? What about the people who work in the synagogue church of all nations themselves? Can they go? I know they are protected when they are there, but what if time comes that they leave and go into the world to work for other companies and all that? So then I asked God that I needed, like, I wanted him to give them enough level of power, like a anointing, like a lot of anointing to handle things in the real world, because they will become a target. There will be a target. The world is waiting for them outside there. So that was something I asked God way back in 2016. So people, especially 2020, 2021, these years I have been watching the terms of my covenant coming to pass, and that's just one of them. And so when he said he now granted immunity on them, so they're free to go anywhere. And then whoever sleeps with them for the purpose of tampering with their anointing, with their gifts, that's not gonna happen anymore, because I have just recorded a video, because I was taken exactly where things happen. That's where usually God takes me. India is defeated. UK is defeated. Germany, you have watched the floods going on. Many countries, a lot. Like you watch some of the videos that I'll be posting. The video on my war with Queen Elizabeth, and I'll also be posting something about the United Nations, and I'll also be posting something with Prince Williams. This just took place like 2 Fridays ago, and then the White House. This is just for this Sunday, 2 days ago. Today is Tuesday. Today is Wednesday. This is the early morning hours of Wednesday. So just 3 days ago, it was the day of the United States, and this came about because of there was war, and then there was also an issue of prophetess Angela that needed to be resolved, and then she ascended. After that, then so there was a lot on the ground. So, and then I will also post the update on Kanye West and Pope Francis. That's a big case that was also closed, and this was just closed. This was just closed also, like like it's probably a week and a half now, or 2 weeks. It was just closed just now. So all these things, all these Obama people, all those things are closed. I mean, closed. So God had to do all these things. He granted immunity on these people because they were targets. They were to be targets. And just imagine me. It's just, I have no rest. People, I know what it means not to have rest. Just rest. I can go 5 days, no sleep at all. I might sleep 1 hour or less. That's it. This is something that caused me to ask God, no, this does not make sense. He has to do something, but when I ask, he has to do. Else, we go back to my covenant. That's that. Thank you again for watching. I just wanted to fill you in on this thing of marriage in the Synagogue Church of All Nations, and I'm recording this. I'm really happy because I'm watching my covenant coming to pass, the terms of my covenant coming to pass, the things that I have asked God. I've been watching them all these 2 years. I have been watching them one by one coming to pass. And when he says, I will show you, I usually just say, oh, like, okay, which one now? But he gives me a series of events at a time. So I usually don't know which one comes first or what actually would take place before the actual event happens. And I have to go physically have to go through the actual event so that I will be able to describe it to you people. So it's a great honor for me to be able to speak about such things because a person like me from where I'm coming from, you wouldn't believe it's me like sitting here recording this to just share with you topics about the power of God, not me. Oh, the only thing I knew, he was God and he was God on the throne, and I knew Psalm 23. That's it. Uh, Again, just thank you for allowing me to share with you. Thank you for just listening to me, and I'll keep sharing. My name is Maria Shiweda. I am Maria the Prophet.